Sir, it is a universal principle, and in most of the developing economy, we have this principle prevailing that it is taxation which has to conform itself to the business and not business with the taxation. I think we need to go for this principle forthwith, and I think this adventure or misadventure we are having since last 10 to 11 years, by sometime clipping the powers of the tax regulators and sometime giving them an extra power, we are disbalancing the taxation system of Pakistan. In the end, I would like to thank Harun Saab for being here, and this is history that a sitting revenue minister is here in the pre-budget seminar, and with his consent and with the consent of Chairman SRC and CPD convener SRC, I am pleased to announce that Mr. Harun Khan Saab will be the chief guest, inshallah, in the post-budget seminar on 30th of April, exactly 3 days after the announcement of budget. Again, this will be a historic mark for ICAP, and all credit goes to, in fact, Harun Khan Saab for accepting this invitation, and to my President Riaz Rahman Saab and Regional Committee. And inshallah, we will arrange Northern Region programs like this as well. Sir, in the end, I'll end with a very good share of Mohsin Naqvi Saab. Although he was just said these words about himself, but मुझे लगता है अब ये आखिरी वाली जो स्लाइड है ये ज़रा चला देंगे, लास्ट स्लाइड ना हाँ ये वाला. सर, ये मोहसिन नकवी साहब ने बड़ा अच्छा शेर कहा है जो अब इनकम टैक्स, सेल्स टैक्स और प्रोविंशियल लॉस पे हमारे सादर आता है. मेरे कूजा घर तुझे क्या खबर, मैं बिखर गया हूँ किधर किधर, जो हो सके मुझे फिर बना मेरे सारे टुकड़े समेट कर. सर, they are into bits and pieces. Believe you me, we need to address them and fix them as soon as we can. I know I have spoke some bitter words, but I think they are the reality. We must not live in the fool's paradise. We must face the reality with these words. Thank you very much, SRC. Thank you very much, Adnan Saab and Abdul Rab Saab, for inviting me here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ashfaq Saab. Now we are opening the floor for the question answers. So the protocol, after the question answers or before the question answers you want to address?
Harun sir would like to say a few.
Okay. So before the question answers, I would like to request Mr. Harun Akhtar to please address the members and the participants. So Harun sir, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Really honored to be here in front of professionals. Thank you, Ashfaq Tola Saab. Thank you, all the distinguished participants, especially my brothers, Masood Naqvi Saab and Abid Shaban, and of course, Ashfaq Tola Saab once again. We've spent the last 3 years deliberating on many of those things that were presented, and I am sure any one of these three can now run FBR in a very efficient manner and they know how difficult it is to bring about change. Not that we have not considered or deliberated on these very good suggestions, but a lot of considerations come in when final decisions are taken. I wanted this session to be more interactive, so I'll just take a couple of minutes. I am amazed at the way opinion is formed in our country and how a lot of good work and hard work is brushed aside in the spur of the moment, and how many people who know very little about technical things make blanket statements and start believing it without knowing the facts and without even hearing the other side. Case in point is the state of the economy today. Yes, we have a problem. We have a current account deficit problem. And that problem is not today's problem. That problem has been there for the last year and a half. But we've done very well in many other things, and those indicators still remain good and intact. Our inflation is still under 4%. Our fiscal deficit will end up still within 5%. Our GDP growth will come close to 6%, in spite of the political turmoil that we've been going through in the last year and a half. And many other things, the load shedding and the gas, LNG, and so on and so forth. We kept the rupee stable, and we reaped the benefit of a low inflation. We reaped the benefits of low policy rate. We reaped the benefits of low export refinance rate, as low as 3%. Policy rate was 5.75% until recently. But the cost we paid is the depletion, the rapid depletion of reserves as a result of rapidly climbing current account deficit. Now, there are various theories, and a lot of people blame the exporters, a lot of people blame the government for that. But let me tell you what I think is the problem with the current account deficit, and it's not going to be removed or rectified just by depreciating the rupee, although it's going to make an impact, and a good impact, because as we all know, I mean, I don't have to explain these things to you, you know much better than I do, that you cannot export the country's inflation. If your net effective exchange rate was 115, then anything less than that is going to have an impact on your exports and your current account deficit. Your imports will be cheaper, so you're going to have a rising import, and exports are expensive. It will be declining exports, and we have seen that. But our problem is that by bringing the tariff down too rapidly, and that had its benefits also in the economy, as you know, I mean, it's not a free game for anything. You get an advantage of a decision at one place and a disadvantage on the other hand. So you have to have a balanced policy. But by reducing the tariffs from 35% to 20% in the last 5 years, and by having a free trade agreement with China and some other countries, we made imports very cheap. 10 years ago, we signed a FTA with China, and at that point in time, it made a lot of sense. The sense was that if you import cheaper raw material, your end product and your cost of production will be cheaper, and your exports will grow. But that didn't happen. And we saw that even after giving 180 billion rupee export package, our exports reversed from a downward spiral, but are still going at about 11 to 12%. We did grow by 15% in February, but the average in the last 8 months is about around 11 to 12%. Until November, the imports were still going up by growing by 26%. What has happened is that we have converted our manufacturing base into an import-based economy. What should have happened is, over the last decade, a lot of the raw material and the intermediary raw material should have been substituted and should have been manufactured here in Pakistan. And that is why what we thought that the increasing imports will increase the exports also, they're not doing that because our domestic consumption is now a lot dependent on the imports, on the cheaper imports. So I personally think in the current circumstances, you cannot reach a 7% GDP growth because the moment you reach the 7%, your current account deficit is going to hit you because your exports will never match your imports because there is so much buoyancy in your economy. There has been buoyancy in the last couple of years, but they kept on increasing the import because your domestic economy is import dependent. So as long as we do not increase our manufacturing base, as long as we do not have substantial and significant import substitutions, I don't think we can reach 7 or 8% GDP growth, and even if we do, we cannot sustain at that level. So I believe that we've gone too far in making imports cheaper and cheaper. I think there's about time, and there are certain things which we have to do, especially the raw materials, but we have to be sure that in the next round of FTA with these countries, we have to protect our industry. I meet so many industrialist associations and chambers and sectors. I know exactly the problem that these free trade agreements have brought into Pakistan. So we have to be very cautious, and I believe I give this statement again, and I firmly believe that we've got to protect our manufacturing sector in order to reach a sustainable level of 7 to 8% GDP growth. Now, coming back to my experience at FBR, see, you're all experts in your field, some of the best available in Pakistan, representing big names, big brands. And I'm sure if you get the opportunity of being in my place, I'm sure you will look at things differently. Because if you don't, then you're probably not doing the job properly. I understand all these things that are being proposed because I've been here for almost 3 years now. And all these, almost everything has been discussed, at least in the last 3 budgets. Our overriding concern always is, rightly or wrongly, is the impact of the measures on revenue collection. We have become a revenue-centric collecting agencies. All agencies are, especially in developing world. And if we slack in that, we get a lot of bashing. So among all this doom and gloom theory going on in Pakistan, the positive thing that we hear is the growth in revenue collection. So something good is happening in revenue collection. If we reach 3,900 billion, inshallah we'll do more than that, but if we reach 3,900 billion, we would have more than doubled the revenue in the last 5 years. At a simple growth rate of 20%, this is doubling the revenue. And at an average inflation rate of 4%, we gave you a net effective growth rate of 16%. And it's not that simple. So a lot of good work was done. This is an agency which will keep on improving, which has to improve. There are a lot of imperfections. But when I hear somebody say that everybody at FBR is corrupt, everybody should be fired, a whole new team should come in, the reform should take place overnight, it ain't happening. It never happens like that. We have done a lot of things. What are the key pillars that you need? The first is merit. I mean, you've got to inculcate the meritocracy, that on merit you will get the key appointments. And once you get the key appointments, then on performance you stay in the key appointments. Otherwise you can be used somewhere else. Then transparency. integrity. I know we have problems, but we are getting better, at least at the higher levels. Then deterrence. One of the major things, deterrence for tax evasion. A lot of people come to me and they say, you know, we are tax filers and we are getting notices. We are tax filers. My problem is that we have two problems where we lose revenue. One with the non-filers and one with the filers, because there's massive tax evasion. Maybe not with your clients, your big names, but there's massive tax evasion. I know both sides. I've been a businessman for 28 years, and now I've been at the center of the revenue collecting agency for the last 3 years. So we've got to keep that in mind. I give you an example. I don't know whether at this forum I gave that before, but at other forums I have given. I was in New York. I used to work there and live there for some years. And there used to be a real estate tycoon, the Hensley family. The guy was old. He had a second wife who was younger. So she was running the empire. And she made a statement somewhere in the 80s that only the poor pay the taxes, the rich do not pay taxes. The IRS went after her. They audited all her companies, and the only thing that they found against her is that she had charged a $60,000 painting on the company account, which was in her house, in her home. She went to jail for 3 years. Somebody asked the IRS, why did you do that? I mean, what did you get out of 60,000? They said it wasn't what we got. It's the message and the signal that we sent. Everybody has to pay taxes, and if they get caught, they have to pay the penalty and the price and the jail. I was sitting a couple of months back with a gentleman who had been Pakistan's ambassador in a Scandinavian country, and he told me that in Scandinavia, which has the highest tax to GDP ratio and the highest marginal tax rate, I think, goes up to 65%. If they suspect you, they will come to your home and they will open your closet and see what brand clothes you wear and whether your income that you filed justifies that or not. So without deterrence, you cannot achieve what you want to achieve. Yes, sometimes we use our power unfairly, and I keep on saying that. In the last 3 to 4 years, we have increased our enforcement many folds. How were we able to do that? Yeah, there were some unpleasant experiences also, but we avoided that. We were able to do that because my doors have always been open to everybody, to all sectors of the population, to ensure that no injustice is done, but to give a clear signal that we will not tolerate evasion. There is a reason why our tax to GDP rate has gone up a lot from 9.5% to 12.5%, but still a long way to go. Still we have to cross 20%. So until we reach that, we cannot give all these concessions that we are asking for, because it is very easy to give things, but it's very difficult to keep your revenue or recover that revenue. My experience is in very, very limited things in which we have lowered the tax, the volumes go up, and we get more revenues. That's a win-win situation, but it doesn't happen everywhere. I give you an example. When this government came in, 2013, we had I think the top individual tax rate was 20% or whatever, much less than 35, which is now. But we had only 700,000 filers. Why? The Prime Minister today is very interested in reducing the top tax rate from 35% down to, he wants 15%, but we'll have a 100 billion loss if we do that. But we're thinking which level